قيما ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين.
This is the time that we will inshallah take your questions. Ilm says, if my gold jewelry is below nisab, but the cash I have is above the nisab amount, do I take only the value of cash into consideration when calculating the zakat, or do I have to take both the value of the cash and gold into consideration? This is an issue of dispute among scholars. Cash was not present at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So it is something new. There was only gold and silver, and this was the means of transactions. And hence, because Islam is a universal religion that accommodates all new topics until the day of judgment, scholars looked into it. And they said, what is the purpose of gold and silver other than using it as jewelry? They came to the conclusion that throughout time until recently, before the existence of banknotes, gold and silver was made as a means of exchange, so that you set the value of things with gold and silver. So you say that this car costs XYZ of gold, that house equals so much, this pen, this sheep, this crops equals so and so. So people relate to the value when you tell them that so much grams of gold or silver is the value of such a thing. Nowadays, banknotes, the currency we have, whether it is riyals, dinar, dirham, euros, dollars, etc., these are the means of evaluating the value of something. So if someone says, my car is for sale, and I say, how much do you want for it? If he tells me like 25,000 apples, I would not compute that. But if he tells me it is like 50,000 riyals, immediately I would know whether it's a good price or a bad price. Therefore, scholars said that banknotes, money, currency, is zakatable, exactly like gold and silver. But what is the threshold? What is the nisab? What is the limit where below it there is no zakat, above it there is zakat on the whole thing? Is it gold or silver? Because the difference is huge. So like gold is maybe 18,000 riyals, silver threshold is probably 2,000 plus riyals, almost 9 times. So the scholar said that it is best for the poor that we take the silver to be the threshold of the zakat when it comes to currency and money. Another issue was, can we combine gold to silver and silver to gold? The threshold of gold is 85 grams of 24 karat gold. And the threshold of silver is 595 grams of silver. Assume I had 80 grams of gold only. Is there any zakat in it? Answer is no. Assume I have 500 grams of silver only. Is there any zakat in it? Nope. But if I have both 80 grams and 500 grams, gold and silver, can I combine them both? Because the value would be above the threshold. The answer is no. It is not mandatory and you're not supposed to do this. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal gave the threshold of each an individual or each specific category of its own. So if I have 4 camels and 39 sheep, one missing from each for the threshold, I'm not supposed to combine them and give zakat. There's no zakat in both. If I have gold and silver that both do not reach the nisab, I do not complete one with the other. But, and it's a B-U-T in bold and underlined, preferably capital letters. But if I have cash, or if I have merchandise that I trade with, known as urud al-tijara, commodities that I sell and buy, a supermarket, a shop that I sell clothes in, a pharmacy, etc. These are all zakatable items because I sell and buy. If I have cash and these things, then they must complete the threshold of gold or the threshold of silver. I can't combine cash to gold or cash to silver, but not cash, but not gold to silver or silver to gold. Therefore, if you have 80 grams of gold and you have like 20,000 riyals, by default you give 2.5 on the gold you have because combined together it is above the threshold. Likewise, if you have 50,000 riyals and only 500 grams of silver, you have to give zakat on the 500 grams silver because alongside with the cash, it reaches the nisab. And I hope this answers your question. A brother sent us an email saying if someone is scared of fornication and at the same time does not want responsibility of children, but he has a good feeling that he will treat his wife with love and care, can he get married and not have kids? Is this marriage haram, halal, or makruh? First of all, this is not normal, but assuming that there is a particular individual who feels this way, it's one of two. Either he does not want children forever, or he wants children, but after a month or a year or a period of time. If it's the latter, he wants to postpone and delay marriage for a year or two, this is permissible. If he does not want children at all, this goes against the purpose of marriage. And hence, scholars differed. Some say that the contract is invalid at all. And others say the contract is valid, but the condition is void, meaning that the woman is not obliged to listen to him. She can get pregnant and conceive, and Allah knows best. We have Mamdouh from Ghana.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I have a question to ask, two questions.
Yes, sir.
My question is, if I'm praying with my family, or if the Imam is praying in the congregation prayer, and the Imam comes to fainted, right?
Fainted?
So
Yani he lost consciousness?
Yeah, consciousness.
Okay.
Do the Jama'ah have to rush and hold him, or they have to finish praying before they hold him?
Okay. And second question.
My first question. My second question is, if I'm at work, can I add both Asr and then both Dhuhr and Asr prayer and pray it and at Dhuhr, or can I wait so I pray Asr and Dhuhr separately? Can I add both prayers and pray once if I'm at work?
What kind of work?
Office work.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will answer you, inshallah.
That's my question.
Barakallah.
Thank you very much.
Hayyakallah. So, Brother Mamdouh from Ghana is asking two questions. The first one, what happens if the Imam, while leading the congregation, faints and he falls? Must the congregation continue salat, or must they rush to assist him? This is hypothetical, but it happens. Now, to say that while praying in congregation, our Imam falls, so tough luck for him. Who will lead the prayer? This is not realistic. So it is a communal obligation upon the congregation that 2 or 3 men must rush to assist him. If he has a heart attack, they must immediately take him to hospital or help him if they know how to help him. The rest of the congregation, they must appoint someone, and usually it is the one who's behind the imam, the mu'adhin or some of the students of knowledge, who would step forward and continue to lead from where he had stopped. So if he prayed 2 rak'ahs and 2 remaining, the deputy comes and continues the 3rd and the 4th rak'ah. Not that they all, the 500 or the 1,000 worshippers, stop praying to assist the imam. This is not logical. And at the same time, it's not logical that none of them assists him and they leave him to die. This is not logical. So 2 or 3 men must go to assist, and the others must continue their prayer as usual after deputizing someone else. Now, his second question is about combining Asr and Dhuhr. And he says that I'm at my workplace, so can I combine Dhuhr and Asr together? The answer is no. Allah Azza wa Jal stated in the Quran, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. Verily that prayer was decreed, mandated upon the believers at specific times. So as you cannot pray the prayer before its due time, you cannot pray it after its due time. Nevertheless, the concept of combining Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha is there in Islam. When to apply it? Mainly when there is a great need for it. Usually, when a person is traveling, he is giving the permission to combine Dhuhr to Asr or Asr to Dhuhr, Maghrib to Isha or Isha to Maghrib. That's it, if he's a traveler. And if there is a necessity when he's residing, if I'm undergoing an operation and it is at 2:00 p.m. and I know that the anesthesia will remain until Maghrib, I'll be sedated, maybe till Isha. In this case, I pray Asr at the time of Dhuhr together, 4 rak'ah, 4 rak'ah. If I have a test once in a year and I will go to the test at 11 o'clock in the morning before Dhuhr time, and it won't be finished until 5 o'clock in the afternoon after Asr time, before Maghrib. In this case, I'm allowed to delay Dhuhr and pray it with Asr at 5 o'clock when I am out. These are real reasons and not something trivial or just because I'm in the office, I'm lazy. No, this is not permissible. You have to pray on time. And I hope this answers your question. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. Now, his second question is about combining Asr and Dhuhr. And he says that I'm at my workplace, so can I combine Dhuhr and Asr together? The answer is no. Allah Azza wa Jal stated in the Quran, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. Verily that prayer was decreed, mandated upon the believers at specific times. So as you cannot pray the prayer before its due time, you cannot pray it after its due time. Nevertheless, the concept of combining Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha is there in Islam. When to apply it? Mainly when there is a great need for it. Usually, when a person is traveling, he is giving the permission to combine Dhuhr to Asr or Asr to Dhuhr. Maghrib to Isha or Isha to Maghrib. That's it. If he's a traveler. And if there is a necessity when he's residing, if I'm undergoing an operation and it is at 2 o'clock p.m. and I know that the anesthesia will remain until Maghrib, I'll be sedated, maybe till Isha. In this case, I pray Asr at the time of Dhuhr together, 4 rak'ah, 4 rak'ah. If I have a test once in a year and I will go to the test at 11 o'clock in the morning before Dhuhr time, and it won't be finished until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, after Asr time, before Maghrib. In this case, I'm allowed to delay Dhuhr and pray it with Asr at 5 o'clock when I am out. These are real reasons and not something trivial or just because I'm in the office, I'm lazy. No, this is not permissible. You have to pray on time. And I hope this answers your question. Hasneen says, if I forgot to recite Durud, and Durud, I think they mean by it the salutation upon the Prophet ﷺ, or Dua Masura. And the Dua Masura, I think it's the hadith of Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him. Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi dhulman kathira wa innahu la yaghfiru dhunuba illa ant faghfir li maghfiratan min indika warhamni innaka antal ghafurur rahim. So he says, if I forget both, is my prayer valid? First of all, the salutation upon the Prophet ﷺ is an issue of dispute, whether it is recommended, mandatory, or a pillar. So scholars differed at the last tashahhud, before you conclude your salat. What's the ruling on saying Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallayta ala Ibrahim, etc. to the end? Some say it is recommended, mustahab. Some say it's obligatory. Some say it's a pillar. And the most authentic opinion in my view, which I'm inclined to say and use, that it is mandatory. If you forgot it, it's compensated by sujood as-sahw. If you deliberately leave it, your prayer is invalid. This is what I believe. As for Dua Masura, this is not part of the Salat, meaning that it is something recommended. This is something that the Prophet ﷺ taught Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, to say. But it is not mandatory. So if you say it, it's good. If you don't say it, then there's nothing wrong on you, insha'Allah Azza wa Jal. Junaid says, what adhkar should we recite between Taraweeh prayers? Now, we know that Taraweeh can be 4 units of 2 each. So you pray 2 rak'ahs, salam, 2 rak'ahs, salam, 2 rak'ahs, salam, and 2 rak'ahs, salam. And then you pray 3 rak'ahs of witr. Some masjids pray 20 rak'ahs. That's mean 10 prayers, like in the Haram of Mecca and Medina. Some pray more, some pray less. So the Junaid is asking, after concluding the first 2 rak'ahs, offering salam, is there any dhikr, any dua to say? I prayed in number of countries around the world. Some countries, after these 2 rak'ahs, they say, Sallu ala nabi. The Imam says in a loud voice, or the mu'adhin, and everyone says, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Muhammad. Or say, Subhanallah wa bihamdih, and everyone says, Subhanallah wa bihamdih, Subhanallah al-azim. Or after 4 units, the mu'adhin says, Allahumma arda an Abi Bakr. Allahumma arda an Umar. Allahumma, oh Allah be pleased with Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. And they have fabricated du'as, dhikr. All of this is totally baseless and an innovation. One says, and a lot, of people argue. Why is it innovation? Why everything you say innovation, innovation? It is dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. We're not saying anything blasphemous. We're not cursing Allah. We're not saying something that is obscene. I say, Akhi, calm down. Your blood pressure is gonna go over the ceiling. Calm down. I ask you a few questions. Answer me. Allah says in chapter 5, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم. Today, I have completed your religion and perfected Islam and accepted it to be your religion. Perfected my favor upon you and accepted Islam to be your religion. Is this true? He said, yes, it's true. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, in all the books of the Hadith and the books of Seerah, is there any authentic Hadith that stated that the Prophet used to do this ﷺ? Or Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, who revived the Sunnah of Taraweeh. And he had Tamim al-Dari and Ubay ibn Ka'b leading the Muslims in prayer. Had they ever said such a thing, anything that was reported of such a nature? And the guy says, no. So I said, Alhamdulillah, then why are you shouting at me and fighting with me if something that is not from Islam, and the Prophet did not do it, ﷺ, and the companions did not do it, do you know more than them? The guy was shocked. He said, yeah, but Maulana, they do it, and our scholars do. Akhi, you are a follower of Islam or follower of your Maulana? These guys are making money out of you. They are consuming your goods. So, a real Muslim follows the Quran and the Sunnah. This is what we do. If you don't like what you hear, don't kill the messenger. We follow strictly the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. Is there anything bad in it? So, yeah, but dhikr Allah is better. I said, yes, it is better. But if the Prophet did not do it, do you know more than him? Come on, give me a break. So, all this dhikr is an innovation. Sufyan says, in some masjids in London, they have already taken £5 for Zakat al-Fitr. Can I give another £5 somewhere else as charity? The answer is no problem. You can give Zakat al-Fitr £5 here and there and everywhere if you want. There's no problem in that. The issue is that you must ensure that they do not give Zakat al-Fitr except 2 days at most before Eid. Giving Zakat al-Fitr today or on the 15th of Ramadan or on the 20th of Ramadan does not count. If you give them the money and authorize them to give it 2 days before Eid, that's okay. But if they give it now, it is invalid. Rahat says, when I'm in prayer, I sometimes get doubts about how many sajdas I did. The people who have OCD and always get these doubts, every single salat, did I offer 2 sajdas or 1 sajda? Is this my 3rd rak'ah or 4th rak'ah? They must not offer sujood al-sahu because it is compulsive disorder. They have to ignore it and base their prayer on the most likely thing they believe. Whether offer another sajda or continue as you are. But do not offer sujood al-sahu because it would only escalate and increase in intensity until it drives you out of your mind. Ansa says, I understand that even though dua is encouraged in general and the hadith, both specific virtues of dua of fasting person, she is in her menses. So she says, can I make dua before the people break their fast or afterwards? No problem. You can make dua all the time. Throughout the whole day, there is no specific problem in that. Yet, you should not think that this is a blessed time because you're not fasting. It's blessed only for those who are fasting. So you can make dua anytime you wish. And I have 2 or 3 more questions, but yeah, the last question, inshallah. Arshia says that I work for 12 hours and I alternate between reading from the Quran and listening to it from my headphones. if I finish the whole Quran by alternating this, am I sinful or is it valid? It is totally legit and valid. Reciting the Quran or listening to it with contemplation, this is rewardable and as if you have finished the whole Quran, and Allah knows best.
إنني هداني ربي إلى صراط مستقيم دينا قيما ملة إبراهيم